A very warm good afternoon to all of you. I am Nabras Mehdi Zaidi, Assistant Professor of Kamla Nehru Institute of Physical and Social Sciences, Department of Law. Welcome you all once again to our second lecture in this series of Cybercrime Awareness Program. I heartily welcome you once again, Ms. Akshata. And yesterday, as we had a very successful and informative lecture where we talked about the origin and the all the cold wars of USA and USSR, the internet protocol address, as we all know, as it as IP address and pocket switching. And one very important and crucial thing came across, that is about the question of territorial jurisdiction, where we talk about the jurisdiction of crime, the place where crime has taken place and the place where crime is to be reported. Ms. Akshata has very nicely explained us the typical definition of cybercrime and the effects of cyber-dependent crime as well. We also had an overlook of 4 kinds of crime, and few new terminologies came across, like phishing, which means the bulk email, and fraud related to such things, and cyber stalking. And today we are going to stretch the same. We also came across to the modus operandi of crime against property through fraud, like debit card and credit card frauds, SIM swap, phishing, etc. Crime against organization, etc. And today we will move further with the provisions related to IPC and IT Act. Many new aspects of cybercrime will be taken care of. I welcome Ms. Akshata to take up the second lecture in this series. Welcome you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Nabraz ma'am. Thank you so much, dear students and all the trainees who joined me today as well. I really appreciate the fact that you people are still motivated and consistent despite the technical nature of the subject. Today, I'm going to talk about, as I said yesterday and as Nabraz ma'am also pointed out, आज मैं बात करूंगी आपसे 3 चीजों के बारे में, 3 सब्जेक्ट्स के बारे में. आदेश जी, मेरा participant disabled है, मेरा screen sharing. Can you please enable?
Just a minute. Now go ahead. Ms. Akshata. Now go ahead. Screen share is enabled.
Yes. Okay. So, students, for today, this is on the second day of our training program. I'm going to talk about 3 things to you. First, the salient features of Information Technology Act. Second, malwares, and third, computer frauds. Now, I know that I had briefly spoken about computer frauds and phishing, wishing to you yesterday. But today, I want to deal with the different kinds of computer fraud and, the provisions that are that basically address computer frauds under Information Technology Act and IPC, as well as the guidelines that have been issued by the Ministry of Home Affairs to the general citizens in order to protect themselves from these computer frauds and malware. So thank you so much for joining, and let's begin today's session. So today I'm going to start with an introduction to the Information Technology Act. Now, what is the Information Technology Act? The Information Technology Act came into force on 17th of October 2000, while having the objective to provide legal recognition to electronic commerce and transactions that are carried through the exchange of electronic information. Now, what does that mean? जो हमारा ई-कॉमर्स है, उसकी बिगिनिंग, जैसे मैंने कल आपको बताया कि इंटरनेट ऑलरेडी 1991 में लॉन्च हो गया था. After 9 years, within 9 years, people started realizing कि commercial and banking transactions के लिए बहुत ही अच्छा और convenient and cost saving method जो है, वो है e-commerce and e-transactions. And because the government of India realized that there is going to be a rise in use of the internet for electronic and commercial transactions, they came up with this act. at that time when this act came, the concept of cyber crimes was not as flared up और इतना ज़्यादा डिटेल नहीं था वो कॉन्सेप्ट जबकि आज है. 8 years later जब 2000 में IT Act आया, उसके 8 साल बाद the IT Amendment 2000 Act came, जिसमें there were substantial amendments that were made to the cybercrime section, which is chapter 11 of the IT Act, in order to incorporate a lot of new hybrid cybercrimes that the government was having difficulty in prosecuting and tackling. Now, today I'm going to speak to you about what about IT Act makes it special. So, unlike other acts like general statutes versus special statutes, I'm sure a lot of you students, law students specifically, would know what a general statute and what a specific statute is. So let me begin by explaining to you how IT Act works. IT Act is a special statute which deals specifically with any offense or contravention involving a computer system, a computer network, or a computer in India. Okay, so there are two things. Number one, जैसे मैंने कल बताया, कोई भी normal crime जैसे forgery, fraud can be committed and can be prosecuted in the physical world also and in the online world also. But IT Act की speciality ये है that it's a special statute. अगर कोई fraud commit करता है आपके साथ online, then it has to be read in conjunction with the Indian Penal Code. And Section 77 of the IT Act specifically says कि अगर just because कोई offense या कोई punishment can be imposed under IT Act does not mean that any other general punishment for such such an offense cannot be imposed. This basically translates into कि अगर कोई offense is both you can be convicted, or a criminal can be convicted under both the Indian Penal Code, which is the general statute, and the IT Act, which is the special statute. You can read both of them and prosecute the cyber criminal in conjunction under IT Act and IPC. अगर आप एक ट्रायल कोर्ट के सामने जाएंगे तो वो जैसे चीटिंग है तो वो धारा 420 में प्रोसिक्यूट करेगा. उसी के साथ साथ IT Act में अगर आइडेंटिटी थेफ्ट या चीटिंग बाय पर्सनेशन है तो वो सेक्शन 66C और सेक्शन 66D के अंदर भी वो आदमी प्रोसिक्यूट होगा. दिस is what I call an exemption from double jeopardy. Double jeopardy basically आप में से जो law students हैं वो जानते होंगे, that is the right to not be prosecuted against the same offense twice. But what IT Act does is it says under section 77 that just because a punishment has been imposed under IT Act, it will not prevent imposition of punishment under other acts. Which means आप IT Act को एक special statute की तरह treat करके एक special offense में भी prosecute कर सकते हैं. In addition to that, उनको general statutes में जैसे women के लिए बहुत सारे protective statutes हैं, children के लिए बहुत सारे protective statutes हैं. अगर कोई offense जैसे cyber pornography, child pornography is falling under IT Act, and it's also falling under POCSO Act, which is Prevention of Child Sexual Abuse Act. If certain offense is falling under both, and it is the same offense, it will be prosecuted and the person will be punished under both acts. This is a speciality of the special IT Act, which only pertains to crimes that are involving computer, internet, or a computer system. Now, the second thing is, as Nabraz ma'am right now explained to you, that territorial jurisdiction is one of the biggest problems for crimes that are committed in cyberspace. में जो crimes टेरिटोरियल उनका कोई बाउंड्री नहीं होता है, इसलिए कोई भी कभी भी क्राइम कमिट कर सकता है. तो इसको टैकल करने के लिए, इस प्रॉब्लम को एड्रेस करने के लिए हमारा सेक्शन 75 ऑफ द आईटी एक्ट says that it applies to any offense or computer system or contravention which involves any computer. Now, pay attention to the term involves. Why is it important? Because I may be a criminal sitting in Saudi Arabia or sitting in Israel or sitting in the US. But if my, जैसे कि मैंने आपको कल cyber enabled crimes और cyber dependent crimes के बारे में बताया था. If a computer is made a target of a crime that is committed and that computer belongs to somebody in India, then that person, irrespective of their nationality, will be prosecuted under Information Technology Act. This is known as extraterritorial application, which is application of an act beyond the territorial boundaries of India, which is enabled by Section 75 IT Act, which says that doesn't matter whether you're a citizen of India or not, if you are committing an offense which is either enabled or is dependent, which is either making use of computers in India to target somebody for a cybercrime, or is targeting computers or computer system or computer networks in India, then that particular cybercrime will be prosecuted and investigated under the Information Technology Act. Now, another thing, special thing that Information Technology Act does is, जैसे हमारा Code of Criminal Procedure है, while IT Act को is supposed to be read in conjunction with the IPC and CRPC, it's still, क्योंकि एक साइबर क्राइम का जो नेचर होता है, जैसे मैंने कल इन्वेस्टिगेशन की बात की, उसका जो ट्रैकिंग होता है, उसका जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन होता है, the nature of investigation is very different from a physical crime that is committed, and that is why under IT Act there are separate powers of search, seizure, and investigation that are given to the government and relevant authorities in addition to the CRPC. जैसे मैं आपको बताती हूँ, for example, under IT Act, the investigating authority for any crime, any cyber crime that has been committed under Chapter 11 and that has been complained about, can only be investigated by an inspector. And that inspector, if he is in charge of a police station, अगर उसको सर्च या सीज करना है तो वो आईटी एक्ट के अंदर भी जा सकता है, या वो किसी कंपनी या किसी कॉर्पोरेट या किसी वेबसाइट जिसके पास इंफॉर्मेशन है, रेलेवेंट इंफॉर्मेशन क्राइम से रिलेटेड, उनको ही कैन आल्सो इशू अ नोटिस अंडर सेक्शन 91 ऑफ द कोड ऑफ क्रिमिनल प्रोसीजर. सो बेसिकली द पॉइंट ऑफ दिस एक्ट इज दैट इट गिव्स एडिशनल पावर्स टू द एनफोर्समेंट एजेंसीज. वो लोग सीआरपीसी में जो चीज जाके नहीं जो इन्वेस्टिगेट कर सकते या जो चीजें वो नहीं सीज कर सकते अंडर सीआरपीसी, उसके लिए अलग से एक वर्क अराउंड अंडर आईटी एक्ट बनाया गया है, जिसमें सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट को इंटरसेप्शन, कॉल इंटरसेप्शन की पावर्स दी गई हैं, सर्च एंड सीजर की पावर्स दी गई हैं, नोटिस एंड टेक डाउन की पावर्स दी गई हैं, एंड ऑल ऑफ दीज हैव ऑल बीन हेल्ड कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनली viable and have been held constitutionally valid by the Supreme Court of India. So basically, when we look at cyber crimes, the nature of powers that the government and the investigation authorities possess are way wider than compared to any physical general crime that is committed under the IPC. Now, coming to the next point, one more thing about IT Act, which is very similar to IPC, is that Section 84B of the IT Act makes any attempt to commit a cybercrime also punishable, and Section 84C, Section 84C is punishing for attempt to commit a cybercrime, and Section 84B is punishing abetment of a cybercrime. अब आप में से जो trainees abetment और attempt का मतलब नहीं जानते हैं, because you're not students of law, let me tell you what it is. Abetment of a crime means अगर आप किसी क्राइम को अबेट कर रहे हैं, किसी साइबर क्राइम को अबेट कर रहे हैं, तो जैसे मान लीजिए किसी ने आपके कंप्यूटर के थ्रू आपकी नॉलेज में होते हुए आपके साइबर कैफे से कोई क्राइम कमिट किया, देन यू कैन बी हेल्ड लायबल फॉर अबेटमेंट. अबेटमेंट मतलब होता है किसी भी क्रिमिनल को इनेबल करना, किसी भी क्रिमिनल को मींस देना, किसी भी तरह से हेल्प करना एक क्राइम कमिट करने के लिए. सो इफ यू आर एनीबडी हु इज इन्वॉल्व्ड or you know of a cyber criminal who is using your computer network or your computer system to commit a cyber crime, then you can also be held liable under Section 84B. And this is a very distinctive feature because it makes the applicability of cyber offenses provision way wider than it generally is and gives more teeth to the act. Now the second is attempt to commit a crime. One is कोई भी crime का component, दो components होते हैं. एक होता है actus reus, which is the wrongful act, and the other is mens rea, which is intent to commit crime. आप में से जो criminal law पढ़ चुके हैं, जो बच्चे, you people will definitely know, even in fact first year law students I'm assuming will also know कि actus reus और mens rea क्या होता है. What an attempt to commit a cyber crime is, you have the mens rea, which is you have the intention to commit a cyber crime, but you don't have the actus reus. Basically, you made an attempt to commit a cyber crime. You took an action, positive action in the direction of committing a cyber crime, but that somehow failed. For example, say if I am a hacker from China, okay, and today I sit with like 10 other hackers and I say, okay, today we are going to attack India's, India का Ministry of Home Affairs पे आज हम उनको hack कर देंगे. But somehow the cyber security systems over there, you're not able to penetrate through those cyber security systems, and you're not able to hack the systems even though you tried. So such people can be prosecuted for an attempt to commit a cybercrime even though they failed under Section 84C. Now, coming to the most important feature of the IT Act, and this is something that I want all of you to pay attention to. IT Act, unlike other criminal laws like IPC या मैंने अभी जैसे पॉक्सो की बात की, IT Act के अंदर civil liability और criminal liability दोनों exist करते हैं for a cyber offense. Under IT Act, so I talked about actus reus and mens rea in my previous slide. Now, what IT Act does is, under its chapter 9, it makes an actus reus, which is a wrongful act, जो कभी भी किसी ने अगर गलती से किसी के साइबर कैफे से आपके लैपटॉप में अगर वायरस घुस जाता है and they haven't notified you, that is a wrongful act even though उनके पास intention नहीं था वो commit करने का. In such a case, you can claim compensation under section 43 of the IT Act, which is under chapter 9. Now, because there are two components of a crime, anything that is committed with a malintention is punishable, because mens rea is very, very essential component of a crime. That is why the moment there is proof that somebody was committing a certain act with the intent to defraud you or have a wrongful gain or cause a wrongful loss to you as defined under the IPC, they will immediately be punishable under Chapter 11 of the Information Technology Act. So, one feature of the IT Act is that both civil liability under Section 43 and criminal liability under Chapter 11 can coexist. So there are three steps, three buckets in which you can prosecute a particular person. एक cyber crime के लिए आप उनको civil liability में उनके against compensation claim कर सकते हैं. उसी cyber crime के लिए आप उनको IT Act में Chapter 11 के अंदर for a cyber offense prosecute कर देते हैं, provided you have evidence, enough evidence to prove dishonest intent to commit a certain dishonest act or intent to cause wrongful loss to you. And the third area in which you can prosecute is the general statute, for example, the IPC or any other statute under which that crime may also fall. So there will be there are three regimes under which you can, separately go and have your, problems redressed if you are a cybercrime victim. And the sad part is that even though the government has come up with such intense provisions against cyber criminals, most of us, due to lack of awareness, do not know how many mediums do we have to enforce our rights against a particular cyber criminal once we are exploited. So moving on to Section 43 of the IT Act, I want to go in a certain level of detail for Section 43 of the IT Act. Now, Section 43 of the IT Act provides compensation and liability for cyber contraventions. Please pay attention to the terminology. Cyber crime under Chapter 11 against cyber contravention again under Section 43. So Section 43 of the IT Act has around 8 to 9 sub-clauses which list out certain categories of acts that can cause damage to a computer system, a computer network, or a computer. And these acts will in turn give you the right to seek compensation from who you think is the perpetrator of such a harm. So let's go into the detail of Section 43 of the IT Act. Section 43 of the IT Act makes a person liable for various contraventions, including the act, not the intent, just the act of causing damage to a computer network, to a computer system, or a computer. Number 2, having an unauthorized access to database to download, copy, extract information without the permission of the relevant owner or the relevant administrator of that particular IT system. For example, if today, like yesterday, I talked about data drilling. If today you hack into the information system of, say, the Kenai PSS Sultanpur, but you do not have the permission of, say, Mr. Avdesh, who's the administrator here, to download your certificate or download a certain data, then you can be held, you can be sued, and you can be held liable for the commission of such act under Section 43 of the IT Act. And basically, your college can sue you if you don't have their permission to download something that is uploaded on their system. Another act that can be held as a basis for seeking compensation is stealing, deleting, altering data. So if there is any record, any electronic data uploaded on any website, uploaded on any computer system or a computer network, and you steal it or you alter the data, जिसको data diddling कहते हैं, जिसका मैंने अभी example दिया, you will you can be held liable for compensation. Now, a lot of times, जैसे malwares हैं, Trojan, अभी I'll speak about malwares in the next set of slides. Whenever there are virus logic bombs that are launched into your personal computer, or there's an attack on an entire network, it can slow down your computer, it can disrupt the administration the administration of that entire information system or that entire computer network. And what that can do is it can make you liable for compensation for various contraventions. And as a matter of fact, for an example, as a jolly example that I would like to give is a lot of you, I can see a lot of you are are scribbling and making random arrows on the slides. And let me inform you that since you're not doing it with the permission of the administrator, you can also be held liable under Section 43 of the IT Act. So I would request you to not scribble, because if the relevant person is found out, they might actually be punished for it. Like, I'm just letting you know that this that you're doing right now is also an element of unauthorized access or without owner's permission. You're not permitted to do this scribbling right now. Just because whiteboard is enabled does not mean that you can write whatever the hell you want on the presentation. And if you are, then you can be held liable under Section 43 of the IT Act. This is just a live example that I'm trying to give to you. So I would request all the students to please refrain from such acts for your own safety, not for any other purpose, because I have no problem with whatever you're doing right now. So one more thing that that is basically a very salient feature of IT Act is all these acts that I mentioned right now under Section 43. If they're all punishable as an offense under Section 66 of the IT Act the moment there is proof of wrongful gain or wrongful loss because of such because of such an act, right? And the moment there's proof of mens rea. Now, of course, I'm sure a lot of you will ask that, how will we know if something is done with a malintention or not? Of course, you cannot know. The point is that you can prosecute that person in a criminal court and a civil court, and it is the court's discretion and the investigating authorities' discretion to decide whether there was existence of mens rea and there was existence of wrongful loss or wrongful gain, and accordingly, they will take a call. So basically, if you have been hacked or if somebody's altered your data, you can always go under both, and it is then the court's job and the investigator's job to discover whether there was indeed a malintent involved. You do not need to take that call, unless, of course, you have reason to believe that the person who perpetrated it did not do it intentionally. Now, sorry, 1 second. Yeah. So now I'm going to speak about viruses and other malwares specifically, and under what sections of the IT Act they can be prosecuted. As I've already said, Section 43 is one of them, because damaging a computer system or slowing it down is also a basis for claiming compensation under Section 43 of the IT Act, and simultaneously punishable with fine and imprisonment under Section 66 of the IT Act. So let's dig into what these malwares and viruses are and what the IT Act says about them. Malwares under Information Technology Act. Now, the information, because viruses are not the only type of malwares that exist on the computer system, that is why the Information Technology Act does not define a virus, it defines a computer contaminant. As most of you know, a contaminant means something that makes, that lowers the quality or makes something, contaminated. Contaminated मतलब उसको खराब, उसकी क्वालिटी किसी तरह से भी खराब कर देना. तो कोई भी, अगर कोई कंप्यूटर सिस्टम या कंप्यूटर नेटवर्क या एक कंप्यूटर की रनिंग को, क्वालिटी को, या किसी भी तरह से उसके सिस्टम को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करता है, उसकी क्वालिटी खराब करता है, that logically is what a computer contaminant means. Now, under Section 43, a computer contaminant is defined as computer instructions Computer instructions meaning of course कोई भी computer program are a set of programming. जो जितने लोगों ने basic computers पढ़ा होगा, they will know that any computer instruction is given to the computer by way of a program, चाहे वो Java language के through हो, चाहे वो C++ के through हो, and there are a lot of other Python, there are a lot of other languages that have come today through which you can provide a set of computer instructions. Now these computer instructions can be given for constructive purposes, जैसे हमारे softwares, operating systems, they're all constructive computer instructions, or destructive purposes, which is malwares. So these destructive purposes computer instructions that are designed to modify, destroy, record, transmit data. इसका मतलब अगर कोई वायरस आपसे ऑटोमेटिकली आपका डेटा स्टील भी करता है, या आपके कंप्यूटर को किसी भी तरह से उसकी सिक्योरिटी को कॉम्प्रोमाइज करता है, मॉडिफाई भी कर देता है आपका डेटा, which is within your computer system or your computer network, that computer instruction will be called a computer contaminant. Or there can be by any means to usurp the normal operation of computer system, computer network. For example, if a virus even slows down your computer, it does nothing, आपके data को कोई harm नहीं पहुंचाता है, वो सिर्फ आपका computer slow कर देता है, या आपका कई बार laptop crash हो जाता है, that is also a malware or a computer contaminant. Now, Section 43 of the IT Act, as I already said, provides civil liability for injecting a computer or network with a contaminant, and simultaneously Section 66 provides criminal liability for introducing a contaminant with imprisonment which may extend to 3 years or fine that may extend to 5 lakh rupees or both. Now, what are the types of malwares? Now, since I already said in my last slide, programs that damage computer systems simply are known as malwares. Now, there can be different types of malware, and I'm going to talk about 4 of them here. First one being virus. Now, virus is a self-replicating program. Self-replicating मतलब अगर उसने किसी particular file को corrupt कर दिया, और जैसे हमारा normal जैसे COVID है, कोरोना वायरस है, it's a replicating virus. It replicates itself within the body of a particular sick person, and then the moment it is transmitted to somebody else, it starts replicating in that person. This is exactly how the malware virus works. It will corrupt a particular file, and the moment that file enters or that device enters the system of some other computer, it will start corrupting the files of that computer as well. And that's why it's called self-replicating. मतलब वो खुद से auto generate करता है अपने आप को, auto reproduce करता है, उसको कोई trigger की जरूरत नहीं है, वो अपने आप चल सकता है अपने basis पे. But virus का एक certain feature होता है, it will always need a host, it will always need a file, an image, a system where it can survive. A virus cannot survive without a file, which it can latch onto, or without a program on which it can latch onto. And this is what distinguishes it from a computer worm. Because a computer worm क्या होता है? It can exist in the computer system without latching on to a particular program or a particular file. And that is why जब आप किसी file को click नहीं करते हैं, तो you can stop yourself from getting corrupted from that virus. But the moment a worm enters your system, it won't matter how many files you delete, you will have to completely erase your entire, you'll have to completely clean your entire system in order to rid yourself of that worm, as opposed to virus, जहाँ पे अगर कोई file corrupt आपके system में आ गई है, and you don't click on that file, or you delete the corrupt files, then the virus will stop replicating itself. Now, what is the effect of virus program? Number one, system corruption, data corruption. Most of the time, all of us, I'm sure, have experienced at some point of time. We say there's a common term which says hard drive crash ho gayi, hard disk crash ho gayi. It basically means that the data has become corrupt and it will require, standard resetting. Now, data theft. एक तरीका ये भी होता है, कई सारे viruses जो advertisements में या internet पे जो available होते हैं, वो automatically आपके computer पे download होके, they basically steal your data, they copy it and they send it to somebody. A very common example of this is the cookies. So a lot of times when you go to websites, you will see the cookie policy of that particular website. And what a lot of times these cookies are, is they try to see your browser history. They try to see कि आपने पिछले 10 दिन में कौन-कौन सी तरह की websites देखी हैं, and on the basis of that, they give you personalized advertisements or personalized Google search suggestions. Now, virus is a very, very intense form of a cookie. It will try to, see आपके browser history में जाके, it will try to snoop your password that you may have entered on your web browser for your social media website or your net banking platform. And it will try to replicate that data and send it out to the programmer who has sent that program in. Now, computer worms are basically, they transmit copies from user's computer to another computer. Unlike virus, वो files corrupt नहीं करते हैं, and वो एक network system में they can survive on their own. They do not require a computer program to host them. वो किसी file को corrupt करके they will not stay in your, they will just exist on your computer system individually as a self-standing program, as a self-standing instruction. Now, the third kind of malware is Trojan horse. Let me go into the detail of what a Trojan horse is. आप में से कुछ लोग जो Greek mythology जिन्होंने पढ़ी होगी, they must have read the story of Troy and the Trojan horse. Back in ancient Greek, जब एक war चल रही थी Troy और Greece के लोगों के बीच, Greek empire के बीच, what had happened is that the Greek people had they were losing the war, and उन्होंने क्या किया, उन्होंने as a matter of manipulation, उन्होंने Troy के लोगों को एक peace offering, they said that okay fine, we have lost the war, we are giving up the war, and they said कि हम आपको एक peace offering भेज रहे हैं, we are sending you a Trojan horse, we are sending you a man-made wooden horse. Now the Troy people, they could not see through the Greek the Greek designs, and they accepted the Trojan horse. But what the Trojan horse was, it had certain soldiers who were inside that horse. That particular wooden horse was actually a covering for soldiers who in turn at night came out and attacked and burned down entire Troy, and Troy lost a war that it had already won. So from this particular mythical reference, the virus Trojan horse also comes. Now this Trojan horse, like the proverbial Trojan horse, it will come in with a completely non-maligned file, and it will come in as a completely dormant instruction. जब कभी Trojan horse आपके computer में enter करेगा, it will be through a very harmless program, and it will stay dormant. Dormant मतलब वो आते ही कोई activity नहीं करेगा. What it will do is, it will later, जब उसको कोई trigger, हर Trojan horse, हर computer program का एक trigger होता है. मतलब say you switch off the power button, or you switch on the power button, or you log into your Facebook, कोई भी instruction डाला जा सकता है कि इस particular website पे जाएंगे तो ये Trojan horse आपके जो computer में बैठा हुआ है वो active हो जाएगा. And Trojan horse can be used for multiple destructive purposes. Trojan horse को बहुत चीजों के लिए use किया जाता है. कई Trojan horses, कई सारे reported instances हैं जिसमें the moment a Trojan horse enters your computer system, it will automatically start sending emails to your 50 contacts. और एक Trojan horse ये भी आया था, कभी बीच में report हुआ था कि it will automatically turn on your web camera without your permission and start clicking pictures, because that was the instruction that was given to the computer. Or there are certain Trojan horse bug viruses जो कि आपका security software, आपका antivirus software, they'll disable it, because these malwares, because of the इतनी ज़्यादा sophisticated hackers आज के time में हो गए हैं, that Trojan horse is one of the most prevalent ways to send instructions and hack a particular system. Now, ransomware. Ransomware is derived from the term ransom. Now, ransom means जब आप कभी भी जिसको बोलते kidnappers ask for a ransom to release a certain individual or a certain child. Now, ransomware, what it does is it will corrupt or encrypt your file. मतलब वो आपकी file को lock कर देगा किसी password से automatically. It will go and it will corrupt your file. And what it will do is, when you try to click on that file, it will say, file locked, kindly provide, the password. And then you will receive a separate email saying that transfer this much amount or this much amount in this account, and we will give you the password. So these ransomwares, generally इनका purpose होता है for extortion, to extract money, which is punishable under section 383 of the Indian Penal Code. And what they do is, instead of holding people hostage, they hold critical information or critical data hostage कि they force you कि अगर आप जैसे कई बार systems के जो organizations हैं, बहुत सारे उनके critical documents होते हैं जो कि stored होते हैं on cloud or on a particular server. And if you corrupt all of them, obviously the organization will have no way of accessing that data. तो ऐसी scenarios में जहाँ पे organization cannot run without that data, ransomwares are very effective because then you can extort money in exchange for their critical information that you've corrupted through virus. Now that was the end of types of malware. Moving on. Now, this is a particular section that the Ministry of Home Affairs has done on its cybercrime reporting portal. And that's why I want to talk to you about the personal, जो आपका अपना personal computer है, उस पे जब virus attack होता है तो कैसे होता है? उसमें जो 3 sources होते हैं, main सबसे widely known sources for malware on personal computer is through external devices. आपका USB device है, आपका hard disk है, pen drive है, ठीक है? उसको जैसे आपने वो करप्ट हो गया, कैसे करप्ट हो गया? यू पुट इट इन अ सिस्टम जहां पे ऑलरेडी वायरस था, या और यू टुक इट टू अ साइबर कैफे, वहां पे प्रिंट आउट निकालने के लिए आपने उस यूएसबी को इंसर्ट कर दिया और उस साइबर कैफे में उस पर्टिकुलर सिस्टम में ऑलरेडी वायरस था. इट विल गेट ट्रांसमिटेड एंड इट विल गेट ट्रांसमिटेड टू योर सिस्टम. दैट्स वन वे. अनदर वे इज जैसे हम ये पायरेटेड सॉफ्टवेयर, पायरेटेड वीडियोस, ऑडियो फाइल्स जो हम डाउनलोड करते हैं फ्रॉम अननोन BitTorrent, ये सब जो अननोन सोर्सेज हैं जहां से हम डाउनलोड करते हैं, most of the time the purpose of these pirated softwares or pirated images or videos is to somehow introduce a malware in your system. क्योंकि don't you have you ever thought about the fact that कोई आपको फ्री में म्यूजिक फाइल या आपको फ्री में वीडियो मूवी या आपको फ्री की चीज क्यों देगा when the same thing is being sold in the market? They give it to you for 2 main reasons. Number one, so that you visit their site where they are posting advertisements which contain malware, or number 2, they have files which will provide you with the required image or the music that you want to see or you want to hear, but that file will also have some or the other malware. इसके 2 ही reasons होते हैं. That is why it is always recommended to not download free softwares, free files, free music, free images from untrusted sources. I know हम सब ने हमारी generation बढ़ी हुई है, through while downloading from mp3music.com and all sorts of sites. But as a generation, we should be aware that these sites always have a bigger, more evil design when they offer us immediate free music. कोई नया मतलब टी सीरीज की कोई नई वीडियो निकली and you can immediately download it. It's always accompanied with some or the other malware. आप obviously detect नहीं कर पाओगे, आपको realize नहीं होगा, but it is always some sort of malware that is entering your system along with these files. Now the third source that is also related to the previous source that I talked about is downloading malicious software. जैसे आपके फोन में या आपके लैपटॉप में आपने कहीं से कोई नया ऐप, कोई नया सॉफ्टवेयर डाउनलोड किया which was freely available. I'm not talking about softwares like WhatsApp or softwares that exist on Google Pay, but there are certain applications which are created for the purpose of introducing malware into your computer. These applications may be hosting that particular malware कि आप कहीं जगह क्लिक करेंगे तो वो आपको redirect कर देगा ransomware वाले लिंक पे, और वो कई बार आपने नोटिस किया होगा, if you by mistake click on an advertisement which is not from a trusted website, something will automatically start getting downloaded, or a pop-up window will open which will not close. These are all examples of the moment you see a site like this, immediately block that site and immediately mark it for never ever visiting it again, because certain websites and certain softwares are made for the sole purpose of circulating ransomwares, and that is why it is recommended to not download free softwares from untrusted sources. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs has come up with its own guidelines to tackle malwares. First, and this is something that I've already spoken about, is firewall antivirus. Number one is you should always have it installed. You should always have your firewall enabled, and you should keep updating it. This is something that a lot of us miss. We think that updates are not important. What these updates give you is they give you the ability to they give your computer the ability to tackle the latest version of a malware or of a ransomware or of any other virus. Kyunki as cyberspace is constantly evolving, so are the ways to commit cyber crimes and so are the ways to corrupt computer. And इसीलिए जो हमारी antivirus software agencies होती हैं, this is not just a way of making money. They keep updating their software so that the software or the system, your system becomes stronger और वो ज्यादा से ज्यादा टाइप की वायरसेस को टैकल कर सके. इसलिए अपने एंटीवायरस सॉफ्टवेयर्स को कॉन्स्टेंटली अपडेट करिए. दिस इज रेकमेंडेड बाय द मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स एंड आई एम रीइटरेटिंग दिस constantly because the MHA has issued these guidelines specifically for the purpose of this being transmitted among the citizens, among us citizens, so that we can tackle cyber crimes and the cyberspace with better ability and resilience. Now the second thing is scanning external devices. जब भी आपके पास कभी कोई external device आती है, generally ये feature आपका जो scan external devices है, ये particular operating system है, जैसे Mac, आपका जो एप्पल का लैपटॉप होता है या आपने कोई एंटीवायरस सॉफ्टवेयर किया है, उसमें हमेशा स्कैन ऑप्शन होता है जो कि इनेबल होता है. किसी भी डिवाइस को, किसी भी यूएसबी डिवाइस को, डू नॉट इंसर्ट इट विदाउट स्कैनिंग इट बिकॉज दैट मे बी करप्ट एंड दैट मे कंटेन malwares. नाउ द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज, ये हम में से कई सारे लोग मिस कर जाते हैं, विच इज मेकिंग योर ब्लूटूथ डिस्कवरेबल. हमारे फोन में, हमारे लैपटॉप में ब्लूटूथ का ऑप्शन होता है एंड देयर इज ऑलवेज द ऑप्शन ऑफ मतलब उसको डिस्कवरेबल बनाना या नॉट डिस्कवरेबल बनाना. तो द रिकमेंडेशन फ्रॉम द MHA इज दैट यू शुड ऑलवेज कीप योर ब्लूटूथ डिवाइस इन अ नॉट डिस्कवरेबल मोड. तभी उसको डिस्कवरेबल बनाइए या तभी ब्लूटूथ ऑन करिए अपना जब आपको पर्टिकुलरली किसी डिवाइस से कनेक्ट करने की जरूरत है. कभी भी बिना किसी रीजन के अपने ब्लूटूथ को ऑन मत छोड़िए इफ यू डू नॉट वांट टू यूज इट. नाउ द फोर्थ थिंग इज दैट जैसे हम लोग आजकल जल्दी जल्दी मोबाइल्स, लैपटॉप्स चेंज करते रहते हैं. सो व्हेनेवर यू डू दैट, मेक श्योर दैट यू रीसेट the settings of that phone or of that laptop. You format that laptop before disposing it off or before giving it to somebody else, because that will ensure that all your personal information from that laptop is gone. And कभी गलती से हमने कोई pictures या हमने कोई password save कर दिया है तो वो पूरा wipe off हो जाएगा. So always keep bear this in mind. And this is now the fifth thing, I've already spoken about this. Never download or install pirated software, images, files from unknown websites. And जैसे आप कभी भी कोई website visit करते हैं, always check for HTTPS. आप generally कोई website जब visit करेंगे, it will say HTTP. But if you are visiting अगर आप एक secure website को visit कर रहे हैं, it will say HTTPS, where the S stands for secure. And कई बार जब आपकी सिक्योरिटी सेटिंग सही होती है, there is always a disclaimer that Google displays कि the site that you are proceeding to is not a safe site, so please kindly do not visit this site. और उसके पास वो आपको ऑप्शन देती है whether you want to proceed to that site or not. My suggestion would be to never proceed to a site which does not have the S attached to its HTTP, because that will mean that it's not secure. Please remember this, HTTPS, where S stands for secure. If any website is preceded by HTTPS, it means it's secure to visit it. Furthermore, if there are any URL or links that are provided to you by SMS or email, never click on them. It's always supposed to have some or the other ransomware or some or the other fraud that somebody wants to make you a victim of. और जब भी आप किसी नई ऐप या किसी वेबसाइट पे जाएं और वो अपना टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस डिस्प्ले करता है, ऑलवेज रीड इट बिफोर यू इंस्टॉल दैट पर्टिकुलर एप्लीकेशन और सॉफ्टवेयर ऑन योर फोन. मुझे पता है, और ये मैं भी आई एम आल्सो गिल्टी ऑफ डूइंग दिस, बट व्हेनेवर आई एम, जैसे कोई ट्रस्टेड सॉफ्टवेयर है, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ इट्स फेसबुक और व्हाट्सएप, आई डू नॉट रीड टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस. पर अगर कोई अननोन सॉफ्टवेयर है जिसको आप इतने अच्छे से जानते नहीं है या नया सॉफ्टवेयर आया है मार्केट में, यू शुड ऑलवेज रीड इट्स टर्म्स एंड कंडीशंस टू मेक श्योर it has a proper privacy policy in place for its users, and if it doesn't, then do not install that particular software. Now the next thing that I want to talk to you about is computer frauds. मुझे मालूम है मैंने कल काफी डिटेल में आपको फिशिंग और विशिंग का modus operandi जिसको बोलते हैं वो explain किया था, but today I want to talk to you about computer frauds from two perspectives. One, from the perspective of the IT Act, and two, from the perspective of what kind of frauds are taking place today and which the government wants you to know, जो जिसके लिए specifically guidelines issue किए Ministry of Home Affairs ने, जिसके लिए specifically manuals issue किए गए हैं cyber crime portal पे. That's why I want to talk to you about generally the concept of computer frauds and not particular computer frauds that I spoke about today. Now, what are computer frauds? They are a broad term for cyber crimes where a computer is used to commit cheating, deception, to cause a wrongful loss or wrongful gain. Those of you who are a law student, you will know that wrongful loss and wrongful gain is defined under the Indian Penal Code, and wrongful loss and wrongful gain cause करने वाला कोई भी act जो कि computer के through perpetrate किया गया है, that will mean a computer fraud. Now, what all can a computer fraud include? It can include online forgery, data theft, virus attack to steal information or publish information. Now I'm going to go into the specific computer frauds which are specifically made punishable under the Information Technology Act. The most common and the most important of them, something that I spoke to you about yesterday, is identity theft, which is obtaining someone's personal information without their permission. Now, this personal information, personal sensitive information, is defined under Rule 3 of the Information Technology Reasonable Security Practices Act, and it is defined to mean your Aadhaar, your PAN, or any other unique identification feature, any other feature about your information about you that makes you uniquely identifiable, your driving license number, your PAN card number, your Aadhaar, your UPI, everything that makes you, that can make somebody single you out in, in a crowd of thousands, is personal sensitive information, right? Now, under Section 66C of the Information Technology Act, identity theft is a cyber crime, and it is defined as fraudulently or dishonestly making use of electronic signature, password, or any other identification feature of any other person. For example, if I am impersonating या मैंने आपका email ID या password, social media password जान लिया और उसके through I am operating your social media profile, that will also count as identity theft. And if somebody does that to you, you can always file a complaint against them under Section 66C of the IT Act. Now, identity theft, why is it done? It is never done, people will never steal your information unless they want to do something with it, right? And same is the case with identity theft. It is always done so that the stolen information can be used for an untoward purpose which can cause you loss. आपका information वो सिर्फ steal नहीं करते हैं, वो उसको कहीं ना कहीं use करेंगे. Common uses जो कि MHA ने अपनी website पे दिए हैं कि ये common uses जो होते हैं for identity theft is gaining access to your bank accounts. ये अब बहुत कम हो गया है, but previously taking your personal sensitive information and then representing to your bank that you're a third party and a close party, and the particular customer. जैसे कोई भी ये मेरा चाचा या मामी है and I have their ATM pin and I have their number and I have their customer ID, इसलिए आप मेरे को please इतना पैसा transfer कर दीजिए. ये third party requests were earlier they were entertained by banks, but now banks have completely stopped entertaining these requests. So banks have also taken measures, and that's why there has been, these kind of instances have gone down where people try to gain access to the money that is there in your bank account by pretending to be you or someone close to you by obtaining or using your personal sensitive information. Now, a lot of ways, mostly identity theft jo hota hai, it will either be used to harass you on social media, or it will be used somehow to take control of your property, right? Like how we spoke about crimes against individuals, property, society, and organization. Identity theft is either a crime against individual or a crime against your property. Common uses of your personal sensitive information can be gain access to your bank account, आपका bank account, आपका customer ID या password जान के उन्होंने आपका bank account net banking transaction password खोल लिया, या आपके behalf पे they get a credit card or a debit card or a loan from your account, or they open insurance account. How will they do that? They will just go on your net banking platform and they will apply. And if you do not check, you will not know कि आपके नाम पे credit card already issue हो चुका है किसी और को किसी और address पे. And because they already had your personal sensitive information, they were able to, apply for this particular credit card or loan on your behalf, and then use it in turn, and then leave and dupe you and your bank. Then there are other ways, they based on your credit card or based on your identity, they try to get medical treatment. आपका health insurance, कई हम में से कई लोग medical insurance आजकल रखते हैं, और कोरोना के टाइम में और भी कहीं ज्यादा वो हो चुका है, कॉमन हो चुका है मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस. तो जैसे हमने किसी पर्सनल एजेंसी से मेडिकल इंश्योरेंस ले लिया है, दे विल अगर उन्होंने हमारा ईमेल पासवर्ड हैक कर लिया है, या somehow they have our password for our account, online account for our insurance, medical insurance, they will mail them saying that please transfer, I am being treated in this hospital, kindly pay the bills. And then they will attach the bills representing to be you, because they have your password or they have access to your personal information. Now, another common usage is assuming your social media identity. I've spoken about that enough. One more important thing is giving your name to police during during an arrest. So a lot of times when people gain information about who you are, what your phone number is, that is more than enough for criminals in the real world. To कई बार ऐसा होता है कि लोग आपका नंबर, आपका सिम खो गया, या किसी ने आपके नाम से सिम ले लिया, and they make calls, or during a crime or a conspiracy, a particular call went to a particular criminal, then they will give your name and your phone number as the person जिसके पास से फोन आया था. ये बहुत common, and even before cyber crime took off, this is a very, very common way of duping people. वो पुलिस को या investigating authority को आपको harass करने के लिए, अपने आप को बचाने के लिए आपका phone number use करेंगे या आपका नाम दे देंगे, so that the police is also thrown off track and आप भी unnecessarily harass हो. Now, card skimming. Now, card skimming is something which is becoming very common these days, and a lot of us don't know about it. That's why I want to speak to you specifically about card skimming. It is a kind of identity theft. Now, let's look at how card skimming is done. आप में से जितनों के पास identity ATM cards हैं, if you turn it around, you will see a black strip at the bottom left of your identity of your ATM card, जहाँ पे एक लंबी सी strip होती है. वो strip is actually a magnetic strip. Now, a lot of banks these days have done away with that strip, but some banks still have that magnetic strip. What that magnetic strip does is it has the unique information of that particular credit card or debit card. And if somebody is able to download or clone information from that magnetic strip, they can create another credit card or debit card which resembles exactly like yours, pretending to be yours, which means it's both forgery and identity theft. And once they obtain that information from you, they generate a fake credit card online, and they start making purchases on your behalf, or they start signing up on different websites for different services on your behalf, and then eventually the money is deducted from your actual card or your actual account, your actual credit card, which they had initially cloned. Now let's dig into how this card skimming is done. Now the Ministry of Home Affairs released a very very good pictorial representation of how exactly card skimming is done in 4 steps, and I'm going to take you through them. Now, step 1 is obtaining your credit or debit card in a genuine shop setting. So, for example, if you're sitting in a restaurant or you've gone to purchase a mobile phone, they will, say, "Ki, sir, we do not accept cash or we do not accept Paytm. Please give us your card." Okay, of course, the customer will be unsuspecting because a merchant generally does have, in a shop, they do have card swapping machine, and it's nothing to get worried about. But the next step is what casts doubt. Always, if it's a genuine merchant, he will never take away your card. And always be aware, a lot of us do not pay attention to this, but if you're sitting in a restaurant and the waiter is going away with your card, please do not let them go away with that card. Even if they say that it's restaurant policy to, get the card swiped on the reception, please do not let them do that. Never let your card alone with any individual. They can always put it in a skimming machine. And the worst part about skimming machine is that it looks exactly like a normal credit card machine. But if they are taking it away from you, if they are taking the card away from you, there is a very good chance that they are trying to clone the information that is provided in your magnetic strip. Third thing is that whenever you are inputting your PIN in a restaurant, जैसे हम कभी family के साथ या अपने friends के साथ बैठे होते हैं, we don't really pay attention, हम जल्दी से डाल देते हैं. And this is normal human behavior, but I want to highlight this to you that a lot of times these cyber criminals, these skimmers, what they do is they are waiting for you to input that PIN. They are trained to look at that PIN. So what you need to do is you need to hide yourself, somehow. जैसे never ever, जैसे कई बार merchants or users जो होते हैं, they hand the credit the swapping machine to you and you just have to input it. Never do that. Always take the machine in your hand and hold it like this and always input your PIN like this, so that people standing in front of you or anybody who has anything to do with the merchant's business does not see your PIN. Because the moment he identifies your PIN, the crime is complete. They will have the details of your card. They will have your PIN. They need absolutely nothing else. They will be able to generate another, fake credit or, ATM card, and then they will start making withdrawals. They will start making purchases on your behalf, and you will not be able to do anything about it unless you get it blocked instantly. Right? Now, what can you do against this kind of card skimming? First thing is, you should always activate transaction update from your bank. A lot of us, when we change our numbers or when we change our mobile phones and we change our SIM numbers, we do not care to update the bank regarding our number. Do not do that, because transaction update is the most effective way through which you will know if somebody is committing fraud on your phone or on your credit card or on your bank account. That is why I always have the bank updated on what your current phone number is, so that the moment there is a withdrawal, the moment there is a purchase from your credit card or your debit card, there is an instant message that goes to your phone and your email ID, for this purpose. And keep checking regularly your email and your phone for any messages, transaction updates from your bank, because a lot of times that is the only way people are able to catch fraudsters who have somehow, taken control of your credit card information and they're trying to use it online by representing themselves as you. So, and other things that you can do generally against identity theft and specifically against card skimming is never allow the salesperson to take your card away for a transaction. Always input your PIN when you have the transaction machine, the card, swapping machine in your hand, and always input it, taking care that nobody else sees it around you. Even if there are a lot of people, you can tell. You can tell if somebody is looking or not, and if possible, if you feel that somebody is, trying to snoop into your PIN, or somebody is trying to see कि आपका PIN card क्या है, you can immediately tell them that, can you please, just, step aside. I just need to put in my PIN. So please do not look in this direction. Just politely tell them, but do not ever input PIN, within the visual within the visual sphere of somebody else. कोई देख ना पाए आपका PIN properly. एक जो पूरा आपका pattern है, they're not able to see that exactly what you've inputted as your PIN. Okay. Second thing is, now one of the features of a skimming machine, एक जो card skimming machine होती है, while it looks like a card swapping machine, like a normal merchant swapping machine, उसका एक feature होता है that reader will be protruding outside of the rest of the machine. जैसे एक normal machine होती है, I do not have a replica or a model right now, but एक normal machine में आपका जो transaction है उसमें जो swapping machine है उसमें एक वो लगा होता है, एक covering लगी होती है जिसमें अंदर जाके swap होता है, right? But if you think that जो card reader है, ठीक है, it's protruding outside, मतलब कुछ ज्यादा ही उसकी covering निकली हुई है, it's not aligned with your ये बहुत subjective है and it depends person to person and machine to machine. But what happens generally is that if that particular card reading machine has a lot of protrusion outside of normal proportions, then there's a very big pause. अगर वो disproportionate लग रही है किसी तरह से वो machine, जो उसका card swapping, जो card reader portion है जहाँ पे swap हो रहा है, then you can tell it's a sign. I'm not saying that it's conclusive proof, but it is a sign that it's a skimming machine. Another way to avoid card skimming is that a lot of banks these days have started issuing credit cards or debit cards without the magnetic strip. So if possible, kindly request your bank to issue you an upgraded ATM card which does not have that particular magnetic strip, which can basically make you a victim of card skimming. One more safeguard जो कुछ banks ने, जैसे बैंक ऑफ बड़ौदा है, ICICI बैंक ने, इन लोग ने जो एक वो डाला है, एक नया फीचर लाया है, वो ये है that they have set a credit card or debit card limit, कि इस लिमिट तक आपको कार्ड स्वैप करने की कहीं जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी. इसमें सिर्फ OTP वेरिफिकेशन ट्रांजैक्शन होगा, आपके मोबाइल पे OTP आ जाएगा, and if you tell the OTP, then that person will automatically receive the amount. What this does is it puts you in control of that particular transaction, because अगर आपका फोन आपके पास है तो OTP वेरिफिकेशन आपके पास ही आएगा, and it will not matter कि कार्ड की इंफॉर्मेशन किसके हाथ में है. तो a lot of banks offer that also, but उसका एक downside ये भी है कि if somebody else possesses your phone, then you have to be very, very careful about your phone. If somebody else takes possession of your SIM, then again they can defraud you by turning it around, and basically through just OTP verification they can start making transactions on your behalf. So that measure also has two sides to it, but that is also one way to avoid card skimming. Now, one more thing is that, of course, you should not leave your credit card or debit card or ATM receipts behind. Now, if you've noticed, a lot of times your whatever ATM receipts you have, it will say XXX, and it will always state the last 4 digits of your ATM card. And for a lot of cyber criminals, the nature of hacking that is happening these days, that information is also enough to identify you. Which is why you should not leave, always destroy. अगर आप ATM withdrawal करने जा रहे हैं, always destroy your receipt, throw it in the bin, tear it off and throw it in the bin. And अगर आप कहीं transaction कर रहे हैं किसी merchant bankers के साथ, या किसी merchant के साथ, या आपने card swap किया है, immediately either keep the receipt in your purse or tear it off. One good feature about these receipts is that their ink it starts fading over time. इसलिए आप हो सकता है 1-1.5 महीने बाद कोई ATM withdrawal receipt देखेंगे, ink गायब हो गई होगी. Why is that done? That is done for the purpose that that information will automatically destroy itself if you don't destroy it actively. But I would still suggest that whenever you have ATM receipts, you should either destroy it or keep it away for safekeeping, and have a digital record or record that withdrawal somewhere else in your phone instead of keeping the receipt with yourself. Now, and when it comes to merchants, obviously you will have a separate bill. Do not accept just the ATM, just the debit card transaction receipt. Always ask them for a bill, saying, or an invoice, particularly saying that they have bought this for this amount, and the medium of payment is ATM card or debit card, and this has been paid. Always ask them for a separate bill. Do not rely on a debit or a credit card transaction receipt, because that is not enough. One more thing is that whenever you are entering a cyber cafe, now cyber cafes, while they provide a very important public service, they're very dangerous places. And whenever you are going there to either access your Facebook, your Facebook ID, either use a VPN software, which is a virtual private network, to surf the internet, so that your identity is covered, it's hidden. What it will do is that whatever you do while activating that VPN software, none of that data will be saved on your computer, and the next person who comes, or if the cyber cafe owner tries to sniff through your data, they will not be able to do that. And if not that, then obviously always permanently delete all documents that you've downloaded. Always log out of your Facebook profile when you're visiting a cyber cafe, and make sure that you delete the history when you are accessing computer in cyber cafe. One more thing is, and a lot of us do this, do not save your username and your password in your web browser, even if it's your laptop. Do not save your net banking password anywhere. Have it written somewhere. Do not save it on your computer. A lot of us think that, it's our computer, we can do it, but you are always, your banking system, your computer, both of them are always constantly at risk of hacking, which is why you should never save your net banking customer ID and your password or your Facebook ID and password on your web browser or anybody else's web browser. One more way of protecting yourself against identity theft is two-step verification. Two-step verification basically means, one, you enter your customer ID and your password, and second, you get an OTP for logging in. A lot of banks that have these practices in place, जैसे HDFC Bank है, they will if they sense that you somehow got the password wrong the first time, they will the second time, even if you get the password right, अगर आपने second time password सही भी enter किया है तो तब भी आपसे OTP मांगेंगे आपके फोन पे. This is called two-step verification. A lot of banks practice it. Wherever possible, always ask your bank or always ask the particular हर बार option होता है जैसे credit card, net banking. Always choose the payment option online which has a two-step verification process. Generally net banking transactions जो होते हैं वो relatively safe होते हैं और उसमें most of the time two-step verification होता है because you have to log into your net banking ID and then input a password. So wherever possible, most of the time use net banking as your preferred mode of payment because it has two-step verification. One more thing is that you should not share sensitive personal information like date of birth, where you live, family details, address, phone number on your social media websites. Now I know it looks very restrictive and you people might be thinking that why not upload my birthday on Facebook, but again, it's personal sensitive information. It makes you uniquely, your name and your birth date at a lot of places will be enough to make you uniquely identifiable, and therefore you can be targeted. आप अगर अपना birth ID डाल देंगे, birth date डाल देंगे और आप अपना नाम डाल देंगे, बहुत easily आपको identify करा जा सकता है, because there is a very, very low chance that somebody with your name will have the same birth date as yours in, like a crowd of like 1 lakh people. That's highly unlikely, which is why you should not have your family details, your date of birth, your phone number, anything that makes you uniquely identifiable on social media platforms. Also, and this is very important, जब भी हम किसी जॉब में या अपने किसी फॉर्म में जब हम अप्लाई कर रहे होते हैं, we have to give our identity proofs. What we do is a lot of times जब स्कैन सही नहीं निकल के आता है या स्कैन में कुछ प्रॉब्लम हो जाती है, साइबर कैफे में जाके, तो then we basically discard it. A lot of us do not tear off that that particular scan and we just leave it at that. What that can do is a lot of people can pick up that particular copy of your identity card and then misuse it, which is why whenever you have copies of your identity proofs anywhere, never leave it behind और always cross it. जैसे आप एक चेक को क्रॉस कर देते हैं, वैसे हमेशा अपने आइडेंटिटी प्रूफ के कॉपी को हमेशा क्रॉस कर दीजिए और हमेशा उसको कैंसिल करके फाड़ के discard it so that nobody else can reuse it for malicious purposes. Now the last thing is, whenever you're logging into your online bank account, most of the banks today provide a virtual keyboard. एक तो हमारा physical keyboard होता है where we can where we type password. Now what happens is a lot of ransomware, a lot of viruses also give us also वो उसके through record कर लेते हैं कि कौन सी की पे press हो रहा है किस time पे, which is why now banks have come up with the concept of a virtual keyboard where through your mouse click you can input your password instead of typing it. Now I know that's more inconvenient, but that's safer because that makes it harder for a hacker to sniff or figure out your password. And now now the last thing about identity theft. Now the last thing about identity theft is that it is generally combined with cheating and misrepresentation. As I already said, Section 66C provides punishment of 3 years imprisonment and a fine of up to 1 lakh rupees. And if your card has been used through card skimming and it has been further used for online purchases, then you can also sue that person for compensation under Section 43H of the IT Act. where the criminal charges if the criminal has charged you for the services that is availed by them, they've charged a particular service to your account or particular purchase to your account, something that has been done by them by fraudulently using your card details. In that case, if you figure out who that particular person is, you can always go and sue them under section 43H and recover whatever amount has been charged from you. And with that, I would like to conclude my training session for today. Thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of presentation today. There is so much to learn. There is so much to tell you all tomorrow. And I will be. Yesterday, I noticed that there were no questions in the question and answer chat box. I hope that there will be questions, and if you haven't posted it until now, please post them in the chat Q&A today. Whatever questions, since I've it's already been more than an hour, I cannot sadly take questions right now, but if you post them in the Q&A chat right now, I promise I will come back tomorrow, and the first thing I will do is answer whatever questions have been posted in the Zoom chat today. If not that, then kindly email me your queries at cyberlectures2020@gmail.com. Kindly do that. I will put the website, the email ID on the chat box as well. Kindly email if you cannot put it in the Q&A session here. If you are attending through the YouTube, live streaming, or you go subsequently and you view my lecture through YouTube, then kindly, send me your queries at cyberlectures2020@gmail.com. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow. And one more thing is that I'm very excited for our session tomorrow, because I will be inviting a guest speaker, Mr. Raj Pagaria, who is currently working with a cyber crime agency called the Cyber Blog India. He specializes in cyber crimes, and he has helped a lot of victims, specifically from in and around Sultanpur. And he's going to come and talk about his experiences in working with the police, in working with the victims, and how effective these agencies and these NGOs can be in helping you and helping you take action against a particular cyber criminal who has victimized you. So I look forward to our session tomorrow morning. And with that, I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Akshata. I'm highly thankful for you for providing us such important information and making us aware against the malware, frauds, and so dangerous viruses. It was really shocking to know about the hackers and their actions of operating our webcams and bank information and credit and debit cards. Really, thank you for providing us the solutions of always keeping activate our antivirus and sharing with us the recommendation of Ministry of Health Affairs and many other safety measures while handling the internet. So dear students, we'll meet tomorrow with a very nice hope and a bright day. We'll be looking forward to Mr. Host, Mr. Raj as well. Thank you so much. वो सब बोल ही दिया था